Hey, this is Ray, and this is the Ramblings of a Pagan. So today I want to talk a little bit about my own personal path. So it all started from a very young age. I was always drawn to all the witchy movies, practical magic and Harry Potter and you name it. Anything that has any kind of a witchy twist to it, I was always drawn to it. I didn't really know why. I just always felt very connected to it. And I also always had very, very, very vivid dreams from a very young age. And I always kind of knew what was going to happen before it would happen. I'm not going to say that I could see the future, but I always had kind of an inkling or the knowledge that I didn't know why I had it. So I was always curious. But it was also to do with the fact that for many years, I did the whole church thing. I went to church, I got baptized, but it always felt like I was on the outside watching in. It didn't ever feel right. And for a lot of people that I've talked to, it's the same way. Nothing ever felt homey, if that makes sense. For me, it took going to the library, and I happened across the metaphysical section. And I accidentally bumped the bookshelf, and now I realize it wasn't an accident. Obviously, it was probably meant to happen, but I found this book right here. It's the one that fell out, A Witch's Bible. I picked it up, and I really started to read it, and I decided I was going to take it home and go more deeply into the research of reading it. So obviously I went to the self-checkout counter because I didn't want anybody to be like, oh, she's a witch. Because in my household it was, if you're a witch, you belong to the devil, you believe in the devil, you worship the devil, and nobody at 14 wants that. So I take it home, I read it when I can, because obviously I'm not going to tell my parents, oh, I have a witch book. I kind of kept that pretty much to myself. And as I read it and got further and further into it, it just really felt like it clicked home, like a puzzle piece finally fitting in. I felt this was what I've been searching for, but I just didn't know it at the time. Fast forward a few years, my mom found out. She wasn't happy. She talked about taking me to the priest and doing all kinds of stuff and getting me baptized again, but I kept telling her, Mom, it's nothing like that. So I moved out at 17. It wasn't the greatest choices I made, but for me it was the right choice because it just didn't work. So I moved in with a friend of mine. Another bad choice. Soon became a boyfriend. Didn't work out. Don't recommend. 10 out of 10. Well, eventually it comes out that I am pagan, and he buys me my first altar set. I get it all set up. I'm so ecstatic. It's the happiest I've been. And in that time, I eventually found Scott Cunningham, all his books, read them, fell in love with the whole idea of Wicca. And I decided I was going to do the dedication, the 1 year and a day study. I started printing things and stapling things and putting things in places, and it all just became a big jumble, and it became overwhelming. And I kind of stepped away for a little while. And then I picked it all back up when I hit 20. It was after I had my daughter and I was pregnant with my son. And I decided I'm going to give this another shot because, once again, I felt empty. It didn't feel like I had a way of going, a path, a clear path. So I decided I would pick it up, I would try again. I picked it all back up, and I happened across this website, Witch School. I'm like, well, that's neat. So I clicked on it, and one thing led to another. I found one of my best friends through that website, and we decided to create our own temple, our own online temple, after studying under our mentor for probably about a year. And we both set out to become reverends because we knew we had to be a certain degree to run a temple. Well, we both started, and then unfortunately I lost my brother. And it was a devastating hit to myself. Difficult to process. And unfortunately, soon after, I lost another brother. And I basically hit a wall. I stepped away from the temple, and I didn't say anything to her, unfortunately. I just kind of put a wall up. I felt like nothing was right again. It felt empty, and I didn't realize then I'd created a self-barrier because I didn't want to be hurt anymore. Like, what if I fail? What if I don't get this degree? What if, I can't be there with her and lead the temple? And I just kept putting those what ifs in front of myself until I'd basically built a huge wall that I couldn't break through. 6 years passed. It's a long time. And now we're more caught up to today's date. I finally broke through. I had a moment of clarity, I guess you could say. It was like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I continually putting up this barrier that doesn't need to be there? So I let myself feel again. And I did a ton of shadow work, thanks to another friend of mine. She really helped lead me through the darkness. And once I came back, the temple opened up their arms willingly, thank goodness, and let me back in. And thanks to 2 of my friends there, they helped me light a fire again. That fire was lit. I was ready to go again. And a few days ago, I received my certification stating that I was now a first-degree priestess. The amount of happiness that just rushed through me, I cried. I was so happy. And now, looking back, everything was meant to be because I needed to take that time for myself. I was putting myself in a predicament of, well, I've got to get it done. I've got to stay right with her. It was like a race. And that's not what your religion, your beliefs should be about. It should be about you and your God and Goddess, or, however you see them, your pantheons, your deities, whatever the case may be. You need to be you. And I am so happy that things worked out the way they did. That's pretty much it for now. For me, it all came down to, you have to trust yourself. You have to trust your path. And you're going to hit bumps along the way. And you're going to reach that point in life where you don't know whether to continue or to give up. And all I can say is just keep going. Even if you have to take a few side paths, eventually you're going to make your way back to that main path. And you'll be so grateful for it. And I just wanted to give a huge shout out to my temple and everyone involved in it. And if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be where I am now. May you be blessed on the path you're walking, no matter what path and no matter how far or how new you've started. And if you like this and you'd like to see more, please like and subscribe.